The following is a public service announcement about Crystal Dynamic and Square Enix's Marvel's Avengers. Don't get it. Don't play it. Just don't get it. At least not yet. Single player campaign aside, it's not that good. Okay, let's get into it. Alright. So, let's get something out of the way right away. The single player campaign for Marvel's Avengers is actually pretty solid. There's a few moments in there where I was very pleasantly surprised by some of the things that were happening. There's a standout moment with Kamala Khan's Miss Marvel and the Hulk. There's a scene with Tony Stark trying to put together his armor while he's under fire. That was freaking great. There's a standout scene with Iron Man in space. There's a lot of great moments in the single player campaign. But once you get to the post-game Avengers Initiative, it kind of all falls apart. There's a lot of things going against it. It's a bit of a glitchy mess. But that I can put that aside because I feel like all of the glitches and stuff like that, that's going to get patched out in time. That's going to get updated. That's great. The main issue that I have, and the reason why I'm not really going to keep playing Marvel's Avengers for some time, is the lack of variety, and in some instances an insulting lack of variety. Let me get more into that. So it's fun to play as the heroes. The heroes are really fun to play with, and the more you level them up and the more skills and stuff that you unlock for them, it just gets more fun to play as them. My favorite as of right now, it's sort of a tie between Black Widow and the Hulk.
I don't want to wreck you.
Although I will say the Hulk starting out was not my favorite, because I could be going up against a normal enemy with like a rifle, and he would take 4 to 5 hits from the Hulk to get taken out. That sort of took me out of it a little bit. And also the Hulk, level 1 or 2 Hulk, he can't take a hit to save his life, which also kind of took me out of it because he's the Hulk. And yeah, certain aspects of like the multiplayer maps sort of started to grind my gears a little bit, like the fact that there are doors that certain characters can open and other characters can't. Okay, it's a little bit of variety, I get it. Frickin', there's doors that can be opened with brute force only.
Archive must be deeper inside the building. I'll keep looking.
Security personnel.
So, okay, Miss Marvel, Thor, and the Hulk can break through them, but Black Widow, Iron Man, and Captain America for some reason cannot. Okay, and then there's doors that can only be opened by hacking into a terminal that's nearby, and Black Widow and Iron Man are the only people who can unlock those. Cool, that's great, that's awesome. However, if I'm playing a solo multiplayer map with AI companions and I encounter one of these doors, let's say I'm the Hulk and I'm coming up against a door that's blocked by a terminal that I need to hack into. Cool, yeah, Hulk can't hack into it, but if I have Black Widow or Iron Man on my team, yeah, they're AI companions, What's stopping me from hitting a freaking button and saying like, hey, Tony Stark, Iron Man, hack into this shit, please? And that's not a huge stretch to ask for something like that, because Square Enix came out with another game that I talked about, Final Fantasy VII, where with the click of a button, I could switch from one teammate to another, or if I wanted to stick as this current teammate, if I'm playing as Cloud and I wanted to just keep playing as Cloud, with the click of a button, I could access my other teammates' lists of commands, spells, abilities, and just get them to frickin' use one of their abilities and spells, potentially on a different enemy, while I keep frickin' attacking, hacking, and slashing an enemy that's right in front of me. It's doable, and Square Enix, who's worked on Marvel Avengers, has made this possible in another one of their games. You would think that someone from Square Enix looks at Marvel's Avengers and be like, hey guys, we did this great thing in Final Fantasy VII. Maybe you guys should try it out. No? Cool. Just putting it out there. Listen, I'm not going to let the inability to get through certain doors in this game be the thing that keeps me from playing it. That's silly. But what I mentioned before, the main thing that Marvel's Avengers, that Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics need to work on further in further patches and updates to Marvel's Avengers, is expanding the variety in the game. And by variety, I mean three things specifically. A devastating, underwhelming lack of variety in their post-game environments, specifically the interior maps of all of the A.I.M facilities that you infiltrate. It's awful. Overall lack of variety in the enemies that you face, although it's not as bad as a lack of variety in the environments, and then a pretty bad lack of variety in the bosses that you face. Let's get into the environments first. So, I could be infiltrating A.I.M facilities across the globe for 2, 3, 4, 5 different missions. And yeah, one mission may take me to a frozen tundra setting. Another mission may take me to like a small town or like a cityscape. Another mission may take me to like a canyon-like valley with, a few trees and stuff peppered through. But then as soon as I get inside an A.I.M facility, even if all of these facilities are in different parts of the globe, the layout inside the facility is exactly the goddamn same. It's identical. It's not like, oh, well, they got, similar aesthetics to the place we just hit up last week. No, it's identical. So after you've infiltrated the same facility 4, 5, 6, 10, 20, 30 freaking times, it gets a little grating. Okay, let's talk enemies and bosses. For this, I really have to compare it to another Marvel superhero game that came out fairly recently, Spiderman, which came out on the PS4. In that game, as far as normal enemies go, I fought against just normal thugs on the street, Fisk's henchmen, Mr. Negative's demons, Silver Sable's security crew, the frickin' mafiosos working for Hammerhead. Like, you had variety. Were some of these enemies between all of these different groups sort of cut and paste copies of one another with just like different abilities? Yeah, but there was still the illusion of variety with them. With the bosses, okay, let's count them out. In Marvel Spider-Man, there's spoilers, by the way. There's Fisk. There's Kingpin. There's Shocker. There's Tombstone. There's Silver Sable at points. There's Hammerhead. There's frickin' Mr. Negative, Electro, Vulture, Scorpion, Rhino, Dr. Octopus. So there's already more than 10 different bosses that you face off over the course of Marvel Spider-Man. In Marvel's Avengers, yeah, you face off against M.O.D.O.K. And I'll be honest, I gotta give them credit. Their depiction of M.O.D.O.K was good. It did a better job than I thought it was going to be.
When I was young, I found an orphaned wolf cub in the forest behind our farm.
What?
Dad said it was too dangerous. He told me to get rid of it. I fed that cub. I named him. I watched him play with my beloved dog, Darwin.
You're wasting my time.
I felt if I could instill rules, the proper boundaries, I could harness the raw power of that beast.
Are you done rambling?
Almost. A few months later, while hunting, the adolescent cub turned on me, snarling, frothing at the mouth. Darwin bought me a few precious moments to call for help. My dad shot the wolf, but it was too late. Darwin had been torn to pieces.
George. We need him.
I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me. Leave.
But okay, well, let's count. M.O.D.O.K. face off against Abomination, face off against Taskmaster, who was also in Marvel Spider-Man, so I mean it's not really a new boss. And then you face off against mechs on mechs on mechs on mechs on mechs. Some of the boss mechs are just bigger, beefier versions of normal mech units that you faced off against. So
Mirrors.
I got rid of everything that didn't spark joy. Guess what pile you're in?
Turn the girl over.
not really original. Yeah, so really, aside with, like, if we take Taskmaster out of the mix, there's Abomination and a bunch of mechs as the new bosses that you face. Frickin' really? We need to introduce more bosses and enemies into the mix to add some variety. Even as far as enemies go. In Marvel's Avengers, it's A.I.M. That's it. That's you're fighting against A.I.M. with like a little peppering of, I think it's Taskmaster's mercenaries, but for the most part it is A.I.M. You're fighting dudes in beekeeper suits with guns, and you're fighting robots, and you're fighting bigger robots, and you're fighting mechs. That's it. So this is where I'm holding out hope for the future of Marvel's Avengers, because is it a fun game to play? Is it fun to play these heroes and level them up and unlock new skills? Yeah, it's really fun. And they have announced that they're releasing all of these new characters. As far as we go now, the 3 that have been confirmed are Kate Bishop, Hawkeye, so 2 archers, and big one for PS4 players, Spiderman. That's great. But if we're to believe the leaked roster of characters that are going to come out down the pipeline, then the future looks bright for Marvel's Avengers. I just hope that with each of these new characters that they introduce, we also maybe get some new maps that feed into the multiplayer aspect. We get some new villains to face off against. A.I.M. listen, they did a great job making AIM seem intimidating in the campaign, but in the comics, AIM has kind of always been the punching bag / laughing stock enemy group where they show up, the Avengers take them out, and then they're like, okay, what next? You know? So I'm kind of feeling the same way with AIM in this game. You did a good job, you made them intimidating, you made M.O.D.O.K believable within this universe. I didn't think that was ever going to be possible. Kudos to you guys. Now on to bigger and better things. I'm talking, like, pull out the big guns, guys. I'm talking Hydra. If you want to do Roxxon Corp and like them, like bring in Roxxon. Freaking, if we're talking interdimensional, bring in the fucking Frost Giants. You have Thor, bring them in. Like, bigger and better things. They teased Loki a little bit in Thor's character arc. Bring Loki into it, you know? Like, even if we want to go the mech route, like Ultron. Just let's introduce Ultron, have AIM bring on Ultron, and then Ultron just fucks with their shit and becomes a bigger threat. That would be great. Or if we can't go Ultron, freaking Doctor Doom and his Doom bots. Cool, whatever. It would just introduce some variety, please. I think the biggest failing Crystal Dynamics and Square Enix could do with the future of this game is if they introduce these new heroes to play around with, and these new heroes are still facing AIM goons, AIM robots, and fucking mechs. Give me a new villain, boss villain to fight. This is a superhero game. The fact that there's only 1 or 2, 3 different bosses for me to face off against the full Avengers roster of villains is insanity. So yeah, we'll see what the future holds for Marvel's Avengers, but yeah, I have to go back to what I said originally. Don't get this game, at least for now. Bye for now.